Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. We have some new changes introduced from the VA, another proposed change as we head into the end of this administration. Now, who knows what's to come? I mean, look, I'm not to play sides here. It is what it is, right? The VA is going to continue to make changes to the VA rating schedule, in my opinion, regardless of who's in office. So here we are sitting on another proposed change that, quite frankly, the VA has not really pushed out to all of us. You had to do a little digging to find it. That information came out actually last week. And I'm pushing it out today, Tuesday, because it was a holiday weekend. We had Veterans Day, Marine Corps birthday, all that good stuff. And I didn't want people to miss out. So I want to dive into this. Before I do, I want to throw on a special thank you to a couple super chats. One, I already said thank you to, but I butchered the name. I'm so sorry. I believe that it is Feliska is how you pronounce it. And I hope that's right. Thank you so much. I hope I'm somewhat close. And the other, Jeremy Gardner, 3193, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. It really does mean the world to me, and I do appreciate your support in that way. Thank you, Jeremy Gardner, 3193. All right, so let's jump into it here. On the Federal Register, which you can supply comments, and the comment period ends January 13th, 2025. January 13th, 2025 is the deadline, and the proposed rule is the first federal business day here coming up, which is today, which is November 12th, 2024. And the headline here for this change is Schedule for Rating Disabilities, Neurological Conditions, and Convulsive Disorders. They're making some changes in here. If you fall under neurological or convulsive disorders, you may want to take a look. Who knows? Could end up being something better, could end up being something worse. If you're already rated, who cares? You're going to be grandfathered in. If you're not currently rated, but you want to put something in, for example, let's say migraines fall under neurological, important thing to look at and make sure there's no change, which we'll dive into that here in a minute. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really, really appreciate it. There's a few things. I went into the Federal Register, and again, you could put any comments, read through it at your leisure, and you can, again, put comments in up until January 13th, 2025. So I just did the word change in here to pull up some aspects in which we could potentially see things. So there's 34 results with the word change in it. The first one here, the purpose of these changes is to incorporate medical advancements that have occurred since the last revision, update current medical terminology, and provide clear evaluation criteria. That's an important one. The proposed rule affects advances made in the medical community from knowledge and recommendations contained in the report from the Institute of Medicine, part of the National Academy of Sciences, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's go to the next one, see if there's anything specific. And I also pulled up an article here on these changes, or I don't know if you want to call it an article, a piece on this stuff as well. So here it talks about drastic changes in the understanding of neurological diseases since the second half of the 20th century is part of the reason why they're doing it. These advanced triggered profound changes in the approaches to diagnosis. They talked about changes to the 38 CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations. The proposed changes will update the medical terminology of certain neurological conditions and convulsive disorders. 2, it will add medical conditions frequently encountered but not currently found in the rating schedule. So it sounds like they're going to be adding new diagnostic codes potentially in the rating schedule for rating purposes. That's a good thing. 3, refine evaluation criteria based on medical advances that have occurred since the last revision of the current understanding of functional changes associated with or resulting from diseases or injuries. And 4, last one here, remove or modify certain diagnostic codes that are outdated or obsolete. So remove or modify. All right, so moving on to the next changes here. well, the words anyway, and see what we can see. All right. So moving on, talks about VA proposes the following changes to clarify the sentence that applies to cranial and peripheral nerves. Remove the reference to I'm so bad at reading. Trophic changes, which do not consistently correlate to disability. Replace the reference to motor function with the reference to movement or muscle strength. So they're just kind of changing how it works. And again, if this is something that is going to fall into your rating situation, you may want to read through this. And I'll throw the link to the Federal Register. If you have a problem with it for some reason, jump in and Google search VA neurological conditions Federal Register, and it should be the most recent one. Now I'm going to jump over to this little article thing that came out when this did, which was November 9th, from a legal team. And let's see if they give us a little bit of insight as well. And I'm going to throw out there that if you're in the process of doing any of this stuff, this is not going to impact you today, because this is kind of the proposed process that they have to go through before it's actually implemented. So even if it's something negative, doesn't really matter right now, okay? But it will matter in the future. If you need to get Nexus letters or DBQs, anything like that, you'll really want to utilize a professional that understands exactly what you need. Now, there's a couple different avenues that you can go, right? You can work with your primary doctor, see if they'll do it for you. Educate them on what you need based on the current rating schedule in which you're applying for your benefits. If that doesn't work, you can utilize Veteran AI. They will help you to develop the right verbiage that you're looking for. If you need a medical professional to actually complete it for you, AME, American Medical Experts, is outstanding, and I'll drop a link to them as well. I'll tell you, you got to treat this stuff like it's $1 million deal, because it is. At the end of the day, you can absolutely have life-changing benefits if you provide the right evidence. All right, so let's jump into this article here. Disability ratings for neurological conditions. The Department of Veterans Affairs is proposing significant updates to the schedule of ratings for neurological conditions and convulsive disorders. These changes, which reflect the latest advancements in medical understanding, are designed to improve the clarity and consistency of disability ratings for veterans suffering from various neurological impairments. Here's what veterans and their advocates need to know about the VA's proposed changes and how they could impact future disability claims. Why these changes are being made. The VA's rating system for neurological conditions has long relied on terminology and evaluation criteria that over time has become outdated. Many current diagnostic codes and definitions don't fully reflect the ways that medical science now understands these conditions. For example, terms like one I can't say, neuritis, are being phased out in favor of neuropathy, in terms a term that more accurately describes nerve disorders today. The proposed updates aim to replace subjective and sometimes inconsistent ratings with objective, measurable criteria that better represents the real-world impacts of these disabilities, which that sounds great to me, actually. Moving on, key updates to terminology and evaluation standards. The proposed changes cover a range of neurological conditions, from movement disorders like Parkinson's disease to motor neuron diseases like primary lateral sclerosis. Here are some of the most significant updates. By the way, it appears to me that migraine rating will remain the same. So let's move into this. New diagnostic codes. The VA is adding more codes for conditions previously evaluated by essentially utilizing other diagnostic codes, such as essential tremor, dystonia, and Parkinson's plus. I'm not sure if I said that other one right. These additions allow for more precise evaluations and are designed to help veterans receive consistent ratings for these distinct conditions. obstructive muscle strength grades. For motor impairments, the VA will use the Medical Research Council, the MRC scale, for muscle strength, which grades muscle function from 0, no movement, to 5, normal strength. This grading system brings objectivity to ratings, especially for conditions affecting motor control. Sensory neuropathy criteria. Sensory impairments will now be evaluated based on either complete or incomplete sensory deprivation, which is easier to measure and more specific to the sensory impact of nerve damage. How conditions will be rated under the proposed general rating formula. The VA is introducing a general rating formula, a GRF, for certain neurological conditions, including Parkinson's disease, essential tremor, and dystonia. Again, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. The GRF outlines disability levels from 0 to 100%, with each level defined by functional impairments. 100% rating, inability to live independently due to neurological impairments. 60% rating, daily use of assistive devices for mobility, such as wheelchairs or walkers. 30% rating, intermittent need of assistive devices. 10% rating for minor functional impairments in specific areas like speech or balance. The structure formula helps to create a consistency in how these conditions are rated, ultimately providing veterans with fair and predictable evaluations. New ratings for commonly misdiagnosed or complex conditions. The VA is also addressing challenges in rating conditions that are commonly misdiagnosed or overlap with other disorders. New diagnostic codes for conditions like Parkinson's plus, essential tremor, and dystonia mean that a veteran can receive ratings that more accurately reflect their specific disabilities. This is especially important for complex movement disorders where symptoms can be mistaken for one another, as these new codes provide distinct categories for conditions with overlapping symptoms but different prognosis and treatment outcomes. What these changes mean for veterans. These proposed changes and updates bring some advantages as well as potential challenges for veterans and their advocates. More consistent ratings. The use of objective criteria like muscle strength grades minimizes subjective interpretation, which has previously led to rating inconsistencies. Veterans will now have more predictable path for receiving accurate ratings. Reduced ratings for sensory-only nerve damage. Certain peripheral nerves, such as a word I can't say again, saphenous, and lateral something else, cutaneous nerves, are now categorized purely as sensory, which will likely result in lower ratings. Veterans experiencing numbness or tingling without motor impairment might find it harder to qualify for compensable ratings. Streamlined diagnostic codes. Conditions like stroke, which were previously divided into 4 different types based on medical terminology, are now consolidated into a single code. This change simplifies the claims process and enhances the accuracy of rating for post-stroke residuals. Preparing for the impact of these changes. For veterans currently receiving disability benefits, these updates may not affect existing ratings immediately. However, new claims or reevaluations could be subject to updated criteria once they are officially enacted. Veterans should ensure that their medical records reflect objective measures of impairment such as muscle strength testing or sensory loss to support claims under the new criteria. Key takeaways for veterans and advocates. These proposed changes mark a significant shift in how the VA approaches disability ratings for neurological conditions. Veterans and their advocates should take note of the new diagnostic codes, terminology updates, and objective evaluation standards. While these changes are intended to improve fairness and consistency, some veterans, particularly those with sensory-only impairments, may see adjustments in their ratings. To prepare, veterans can seek comprehensive medical evaluations, ensure that all aspects of neurological impairments, including motor and sensory issues, are thoroughly documented. Understand the diagnostic codes. Familiarize yourself with the updated list of diagnostic codes, especially if you're experiencing a condition like essential tremor, which now has its own code. Consult with experienced advocates. Working with knowledgeable VA-accredited representatives can help veterans understand how these changes apply to their individual cases and ensure they receive the most accurate and fair evaluations under the new rules. In conclusion, the VA's proposed updates to the disability rating schedule for neurological conditions are a welcome step toward a modernized medically accurate system that reflects the latest understanding of neurological impairments. By making evaluations more objective and condition specific, the VA aims to reduce inconsistencies and streamline the rating process. However, it's essential for veterans and their advocates to stay informed and proactive in adapting to these changes to ensure fair compensation for service-connected disabilities. And I will tell you this, that if you need a Nexus Letter, DBQ, those types of things, with all of the current up-to-date rating schedule information, that is coming from two different places, right? One, you can utilize AME. They will walk you through all of it and get that done for you as evidence for your claim. Again, link will be in the description and in the comments. And then if you want to do it yourself and work with your accredited representative along with your doctor in order to sign the Nexus Letter and so forth, you can utilize Veteran AI. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.